Let me start off and I'm Bill Pearce. I am acting head of the Investment Funds Department of the Overseas Private Investment Corporation. Let me give you a quick elevator speech of what OPIC is and how we fit in the scheme of things. I represent sort of more the investors who make both financial returns and developmental returns investing in emerging markets. OPIC is the U.S. government's development finance institution. Our mission, our raison d'etre, is basically to mobilize capital into private sector investments in the emerging markets. We're open in about 150 plus countries in the world. All we do is emerging markets. We're not involved in any developed world because our mission is basically to increase jobs, raise people out of poverty, as well as grow the economies in the emerging world. Also, one of our missions, I look at it as sort of, think of it as a stool, with a tripod stool. Not only do we have to be developmental and help raise capital, particularly U.S. capital, into these markets, but we are also an instrument of U.S. foreign policy, where we can provide, depending on administration, we have different agendas. And last but not least, which is not well known by many people, is we actually are self-sustaining, so we actually give money back to the government, so we are not we don't hurt the taxpayer at all in the U.S. government. So our job is to make a return, both socially as well as financially. I would say, let's give you a quick thumbnail, about $16.5 billion of commitments as of today in project finance investments, SME finance or small medium enterprise, global political risk insurance, and private equity or investment funds, which is what I represent. Africa has been a large focus of OPIC. I would say about almost 25% of that $16.5 billion is in Africa alone, which I think is our largest commitments globally. It's also a big focus of the U.S. government, particularly now with the President's Power Initiative in Africa, where he has announced the U.S. government, through all its agencies, would provide $7 billion to improve the power situation in Africa, and OPIC will be $1.5 billion of that in the next 5 years. The private equity group, we're a very small group within OPIC, which itself is a very small organization vis-a-vis other government agencies. We manage almost $2.5 billion of commitments in 35 active funds. We're global. Though, like OPIC overall, about a third of our fund investments are in Africa. The department started in 1987 with first investments. Actually, in the early 90s, we actually started investing in Africa, probably well before anybody thought of Africa. And we continue to look at the continent as well as other opportunities in emerging markets.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.